Hello, this is Amaye, and today I have for you another fuzzy tale, this time brought to you by Painty Paint 98. Just a brief heads up, but this story has gore and vor, and if you don't know what that is, it's better that you don't look it up. Let's get started. So, some context. This campaign is played on Roll20 with D&D 5e. I have a passion for storytelling. I love writing characters and building complex fantasy worlds and overarching stories. That is the logic I used when I decided for my very first game of D&D ever that I would be the DM. Yep, that's right. I never played as a player. I just wrote an entire fudging homebrew campaign that we have been playing every Wednesday at 7 PM since the first week of April as my toe dip into D&D 5e, or any tabletop RPG in general. Obviously there have been some troubles. I'm learning as I go, and one of the things I've learned is party management. I have 4 players. Our quote-unquote chaotic neutral evil, tiefling sorcerer / warlock. He also happens to be my boyfriend, but I'm careful to not let that factor in. Our lawful good Aasimar paladin. Surprisingly, the evil tiefling / good Aasimar is not the biggest issue in our party. Our quote-unquote chaotic true neutral, wood elf beast conclave ranger. He's extremely underpowered compared to the rest of the party, not great in combat or roleplay, but he really wanted to make sure that he made a character that made sense in flavor. I can respect that. That guy. The quote-unquote chaotic neutral, we'll just call him true chaotic, Gnoll Totem Barbarian. This character is 15, which is like Gnoll 40, with the mental capacity of a human 4-year-old. I'm not being facetious, the player literally chose to make a Gnoll Barbarian with the personality of a young child, and uses the OwO voice. It's like the quote-unquote then perish meme plays on repeat for the entirety of our 5+ hour weekly sessions. Out of game, the Gnoll Barbarian is not popular with the rest of the group, frankly, myself included. Gnoll has a habit of forcing his way into any conversation, in or out of the game, and interjecting with horrible, gruesome, shudder-inducing stories of gore videos that he watches. Often, he'll be making jokes about the Russian dashcam videos, and in comes Gnoll with a story about how this married couple were driving on the freeway and a stone got thrown off a bridge and through his windshield of the car and hit the wife. And then, more details that I'll leave out, frankly, because it's just sad. That's what talking with Gnoll is like. Of course, the fact that Gnoll is playing a rabid barbarian fits that strange obsession with gore and violence. However, the fact that the Gnoll also uses voice and mannerisms of a small child 90% of the time and the rest is just manic laughing makes it extremely unsettling. The Gnoll wearing bows in his fur and loves jewelry and has stuffed animals and gets belly rubs. Also, he ate the corpse of one of my boss fights. Yup. My party spent 2 weeks in that temple that our ranger grew up in. His mother was one of the 5 handmaidens, 5 enchanted guardians of the magical forest that they lived in. They were very pro-unity, and for a reason that makes sense only in context. The 5 handmaidens' life forces were bound together. If one died, so did the other 4. Each of the party members spent 2 weeks training with a handmaiden, bonding with them, and everyone grew attached out of game. Of course, they were murdered. They got sent on a murder mystery where they tried to figure out which of the 5 were killed, and why they were killed, and who did it. It was super fun, and the murder ended up imbued with a powerful nature magic. I nearly TPK'd. It was awesome. Once he was dead, however, things went downhill quickly. Obviously, for a ranger, this is a big moment. This guy killed Ranger's mom's mom, his 4 pseudo-aunts. He never met his dad, and so suddenly our ranger was, effectively, an orphan. The ranger tries to roleplay out his reaction, the frustration and grief and anger. It was a really great scene. Or it would have been if the Gnoll hadn't interrupted. Oh, Ranger, can I please eat him? Please? We were all kind of stunned and horrified. Like, everyone was in and out of the game upset about the deaths of these NPCs, and in comes Gnoll trying to eat the corpse. I said, I don't really think that's necessary. Gnoll out of character said, nah, I'm gonna totally eat the corpse. I'm gonna eat it before the paladin can stop me, and I'm gonna do it really gross too. Think like a bear, total maul. I'm gonna eat his skull and use his jaw for a crown for Sir Fluffykins. Sir Fluffykins is the name of the stuffed rabbit given to the Gnoll by the handmaiden that trained him in empathy. Everyone kind of stays quiet, waiting for the Gnoll to finish up his way too detailed descriptions of what he's actually doing with the corpse with his weird manic laughter. I hoped that this would be the last of it. I prayed it wouldn't be a problem anymore. It was the weirdest and most absurd and most uncomfortable game moment in my campaign, which had been going for about 2-ish months at that point. It still is. Gnoll has spent the rest of the campaign eating corpses of his foes and using their body parts to make a royal outfit for Sir Fluffykins. And also he keeps teeth in a jar, both in and out of game, by the way. A real and a fake teeth jar. It's fudging horrifying. We've all been trying to find a way to kindly kick Gnoll from the group because we're all the friends Gnoll has. Wonder why? And we can't do it. I can't do it. We've decided to let Gnoll finish the rest of that campaign. We're so far through now, we've all dedicated this much time that I couldn't rip the ending away from him like that. So we're all making do. Even if Gnoll sometimes tries to make the ranger like the skull of the man who murdered his family. Well guys, just for you, I've never felt more uncomfortable reading a D&D story out loud in my life. So guys, do you think that Gnoll was a little too OwO to play with, or do you think you could manage in a campaign with him? Leave your comments below, and we'll see you on a next Fuzzy Tale.